There are rules, there are limits, and there are things that we now know. We spoke about this several Earth days back. I said that when Assad had to leave from Damascus, what happened in Assyria was Ankara was the winner. I said Tehran lost. I said Moscow lost. The Qataris won. The pipeline to get their nat gas into the Great Sea through Assyria is now back on the table. I said the Russians cannot project power into Alkebu-lan as they once were able to do because they lost their bases for resupply and for refueling in Assyria. Now they're forced to go the long way around and come into the Great Sea and sail all the way over. They rotated what they could in terms of their assets and their military staffing into Tripoli Al-Fazan and then to Bamako. About to be expected, just the same, they still lack the ability to do particular things as they once did. Now, I also said that the military hunters in Bamako, Niamey, and in Ouagadougou may begin to sleep with one eye open, as they say. And since Assad has been in Moscow, quote unquote Moscow, he has now been restricted in his movements and they're working to freeze his assets. If you were someone in Niamey or Bamako or in Ouagadougou that get your arms that you use to stay in power from Moscow, you're probably taking a hard look at this now. One, where do you get your arms from that they're inferior to begin with? Two, if you lose power there and you flee to Moscow, are they going to freeze your assets and basically put you on default house arrest also? Three, if that does not happen, do you survive where you are on the ground? These things are impacting more than folks realize. Because those in Abuja, they have a real Navy, they have a real Air Force, and they've got a very heavy and very real army. The Sahel is landlocked. The military equipment that's being bought by those in Ouagadougou is crap. And they can talk tough and all type of carrying on all they like. At the end of the day, if anyone wants to really and truly barricade them in or block them in, they can. Now, Cairo is friendly to Moscow, and they'll let them use their airspace. Doesn't mean that Ankara will. And Ankara has shot down Russian military aircraft within recent Earth years. The real power in the area is Ankara. And Ankara is making deals all over Alkebu-lan and the Ab.Zu right now, tightening their abilities as they go. And Beijing is the loser in that. In North-Amexem, you're starting to see a lot of our folks lose trade now. Not just our folks. The colonizers, they're watching as they're losing trade in certain things. Now, I know a lot of it happens to be seasonal. It's also technology is taking over particular things. Now, other fields are going to expand, especially in electronics, because the one simple fact, the build out to bring electronics back from the Far East to North-Amexem and into Central-Amexem has already started. And I've been telling folks for the longest time also, the demand for oil is not what it was. They're even now writing about that in Beijing because they build a lot of EVs, a ton of EVs. They're crap and they explode a lot. I mean, a lot. But they do have them and they're in use. It's an evolution in demographics. It's an evolution in commerce and trade. It's an evolution in a host of things happening right now. It's a whipsaw effect I'm asking our kith and kindred in the North-Amexem to hold tight and hold on. It's a little rough, going to get rougher. Hold tight and hold on. But they also have to be prepared to do a 180 degrees change in their thinking. Some might do that. Most won't. They're going to have to unlearn a whole lot of stuff. They got to eject a whole lot of poison, a whole lot of lies out of their system. And most won't. But some just might. You're watching things happen across this planet now that's really, really out of pocket. In North-Amexem, out of pocket. Lighting folks on trains in the subway now. Wow. Offspring still disappearing. Men and women disappearing. Internal organs of them being taken. Pushed into that and pushed into sex trafficking. Going into quote unquote, I don't want to say that. Look, what we're seeing across this planet is ugly to be sure. Parties make their own choices to continue, and what they allow shall continue. They don't have to stand for particular things. Once again, they do so thinking if they keep their mouth shut, they can have access to trinkets and toys. Honor and dignity, they aren't even considerations in their minds anymore. They don't love themselves enough, and they have no respect for themselves, so they can't love and respect anyone else. And as a consequence, things are falling apart. Communities already falling apart are falling further still. It's really, really terrible to see. Fortunately, it won't be that way always. And our work, we do our part to show folks they have a viable option unto all that stupidity and all that crazy. I cannot compel them to participate. However, we are here whenever they're ready to change for themselves. Not be changed, change for themselves, change by themselves. Attempt to change them, and they're going to argue with you and rebel. Show them viable options, choices, and solutions that are practical and sensible. It might get through to some, and they're going to change themselves. And they're going to say, wait a minute, why was I tolerating that? I know that folks see us and they go, y'all are really strict and getting stricter all the time. Very true. We are. We have to. Being strict is one thing. Being cruel is another. We don't do the cruel thing. Being strict is one thing. Engaging in tyranny is another. Most of our kith and kindred are familiar with franchising management, which is cruel and tyranny. Organic diplomacy and governance? No, it's just strict. In order to maintain access to independent commerce and trade across the planet, in order to have access that's fair and equitable to markets and resources across the planet, you have to have order and you have to have discipline inside of your ranks, inside of your operations to secure all that. There's processes, protocols, and procedures that requires commitment, dedication, that requires honor, that requires love and self-respect. If you don't have it for self, then you won't have it collectively. So when folks are jacked up in their heads, the imperial government, we're not in the spiritual business. We're in organic diplomacy and governance business. We'll send folks to wherever their faith is. You need a moral compass and spiritual compass? That's a private capacity matter. Send them to the temple. Send them to the NOI. Send them to the masjid. Send them to the temple or synagogue, whatever you want to call it. For whether they're Buddhist or otherwise. Judeo or otherwise. get their spiritual moral compass over there. The imperial government does not engage in that. We engage in organic diplomacy and governance. Somebody's got to deal with the hazmat. Somebody's got to deal with the snow removal. Somebody's got to deal with development. Someone has to deal with inspections of buildings. Someone has to deal with transmission of maintenance away. Sewage, if you would. Someone's got to deal with the water treatment, electrical power generation. Things coming in to your waters and in and out of your ports. Someone has to operate and maintain all of that. Your transit systems, your commuter systems, etc. all. The imperial government, that's what we do down to the local level. The spiritual stuff, that's not in our lane. Send them to the temple, send them to NOI, send them to whatever they do for faith. And we schedule their duty and their training around their faith schedule. I can't report for duty or training because it's the Shabbat. Completely overstood and protected. I can't do so-and-so on this day because of the holy days. Completely overstood and protected. Id Patar and the other Id, leave me alone. I'm busy. The Grand Wazir and the Grand Ambassador are in charge. Every truth day from sunrise to sunset is my fast prayer meditation day. I'm unavailable. The Imperial Command Authority is the Grand Ambassador. He runs the day-to-day operations. When I break the fast, I contact His Grand Excellency and say, all right, did you have to make any decisions or issue forth any orders? I say yes or no. Let me know what happened. I contact ICF. Anything happen I need to know? I get my briefings. Then I get ready for the next day. Go through the overnights. Then we had the first briefing, the general briefing. We had a security briefing, the commerce and trade briefing. We had those twice a day. So it's 6 briefings plus the overnights. 7 briefings per day, plus sometimes we have more than that because things jump off. Process, protocols, procedures. The imperial government on my watch, this is what we do in the service of all of you.